Hi everyone, I'm Matt, and welcome to 10 Minute Story. Today we're embarking on a deep dive into the fascinating and complex history of drugs, substances that have shaped civilizations, inspired religions, fueled empires, and sparked crises. From ancient shamanic rituals to the opioid epidemic today, the story of drugs is a mirror reflecting human curiosity, survival, and sometimes destruction. Humans have sought altered states of consciousness for tens of thousands of years. The earliest archaeological evidence points to the use of psychoactive plants by hunter-gatherers who likely stumbled upon their mind-altering effects accidentally. Shamanic practices across continents used mushrooms, peyote, ayahuasca, and other plants as gateways to the spirit world. In Siberia, the use of Amanita muscaria mushrooms, recognizable by their bright red caps, was central to rituals. Shamans consumed them to enter trance states and communicate with spirits or ancestors. In Mesoamerica, the Aztecs and Maya revered peyote and psilocybin mushrooms as sacred plants. These were often consumed during religious ceremonies for visions and, divine guidance. The Vedic texts of ancient India describe a mysterious and revered drink called soma, said to grant immortality and honestly divine ecstasy. Scholars speculate it could have contained psychoactive substances, though its exact recipe remains a mystery. The Eleusinian mysteries of ancient Greece revolved around a secretive ritual involving a psychoactive drink made from ergot fungus, which may have induced mystical experiences in initiates. These rituals often formed the social glue of ancient communities, shaping morality, laws, and cosmology through shared visionary experiences. As civilizations advanced, psychoactive plants found roles in medicine and, sometimes, even warfare. The opium poppy was cultivated in Mesopotamia by 3400 BCE. Called the joy plant, opium was used as a painkiller but also had euphoric effects. Tablets inscribed with recipes for opium-based medicines were discovered in Sumerian clay tablets. Ancient Egyptian physicians used mandrake, henbane, and cannabis extracts for sedation, anesthesia, and treating pain and inflammation. The Ebers Papyrus lists over 700 medicinal preparations, some containing psychoactive herbs. The Greeks, including Hippocrates, described using wine infused with mandrake or opium as anesthetics. In China, opium was used medicinally as early as the Han Dynasty, in the 2nd century BCE, often mixed with other herbs. But drugs were also used for warfare and domination. The Scythians, those nomadic horse warriors, reportedly inhaled the fumes of burning cannabis to induce trance-like states before battle, maybe to overcome fear or pain. The Greek historian Herodotus described the Scythians' use of hemp smoke in rituals that might also have served as psychological preparation for combat. Fast forward to the Age of Exploration, and European powers encountered psychoactive substances on their voyages. The Portuguese and Dutch established trade routes for opium and other drugs, at first for medicinal use but later, honestly, just for profit. By the 18th century, the British East India Company had monopolized opium production in India, and exported it to China, leading to widespread addiction. This trade culminated in the Opium Wars, 1839–42 and 1856–60, when China tried to suppress the opium influx, sparking violent conflict with Britain. The wars resulted in China's defeat, forced legalization of opium in treaty ports, and, the opening of markets for Western powers. Opium addiction spread across Asia and the West, shaping perceptions of drugs as both medical marvels and social scourges. In 19th-century Western cities, opium dens became infamous as places of addiction and moral panic, often stigmatizing immigrants. The 19th century saw the rise of chemistry and pharmacology. In 1804, morphine was isolated from opium, revolutionizing pain management, especially during the American Civil War, but it also created new dependencies. Later, heroin was synthesized in 1874 and marketed as a safer, non-addictive alternative to morphine. It was sold openly by Bayer and others until addiction patterns became clear. Cocaine, derived from coca leaves used by indigenous peoples in South America for centuries, was isolated and popularized in the late 19th century. Sigmund Freud even praised its effects before addiction and dangers became known. During this period, drugs like laudanum, which is an opium tincture, were widely available over the counter, and prescribed for everything from coughs to female troubles, often leading to addiction without understanding it. The Pure Food and Drug Act of 1906 in the United States was one of the first attempts to regulate and label such products. In the early 20th century, scientific curiosity about psychoactive substances blossomed. In 1938, Swiss chemist Albert Hofmann synthesized LSD, discovering its powerful hallucinogenic effects accidentally. The 1950s and 60s saw an explosion of psychedelic research exploring their potential for treating mental illness and understanding consciousness. But psychedelics also fueled the counterculture movements of the 1960s. Figures like Timothy Leary advocated turn on, tune in, drop out, promoting these substances as tools for personal and social liberation. Music, art, and literature were transformed by psychedelic experiences, but governments soon responded with bans and crackdowns. Today, a renaissance of psychedelic medicine is underway, with clinical trials exploring psilocybin and MDMA as therapies for depression, PTSD, and addiction. So, starting in the 1970s, drug policies really shifted towards criminalization. The United States War on Drugs, which was declared by President Nixon, aimed to eliminate drug use through policing and incarceration. This policy ended up disproportionately affecting marginalized communities, leading to mass incarceration and a lot of social disruption. Ironically, prohibition didn't actually stop drug use, but instead fueled black markets, violence, and the rise of powerful drug cartels. The 1980s and 90s crack cocaine epidemic devastated urban areas, sparking fear and harsh sentencing laws. More recently, the opioid epidemic, driven by prescription painkillers, heroin, and synthetic opioids like fentanyl, has caused tens of thousands of deaths yearly. Today, many societies are rethinking drug policy. Cannabis legalization has spread globally, with evidence of medical benefits and reduced criminal penalties. Harm reduction approaches, like needle exchanges, supervised consumption sites, and medication-assisted treatment, aim to reduce harm rather than punish users. This reflects a growing understanding that addiction is a health issue, not just a criminal one. Drugs have been part of human history since the dawn of civilization. Interwoven with religion, medicine, art, crime, and culture. They are powerful tools that can heal or harm, elevate or destroy. Understanding their history helps us approach today's challenges with empathy, science, and wisdom, not fear or stigma. If this journey into the world of drugs through history sparked your curiosity, please subscribe and check out more episodes exploring the amazing stories behind everyday things. Every day, a new pill of curiosity. See you next time.